my main guy in hockey that I had to kind of take care of was Wayne Gretzky. So
Oh,
he was the other one. So
who?
when Wayne would, I would just call him G. That's what
Yeah,
I never
yeah,
called him Wayne. I just say, "What's
yeah.
up, G?"
Pure hustle, pure hustle. The chase is on, the rational. It ain't if you got skills to match. Who's making it real? The voice, the horn, the gatekeeper, the wizard, living the life powered by pure hustle.
Oh, this is an amazing day for me, people. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. We got Sandy Sandoval in the house. This he is to me fundamental for EA Sports, but also he might have the most exciting job I've ever heard of. He is I think of him as the human Rolodex. This guy is more connected with the athlete community than anyone else I know. If you needed a guy back in the day, to get you a pair of Muhammad Ali boxing gloves, or meet, Sugar Ray, or hang out with Gronk or anybody, this was the guy to go to. So this is going to be a goodie. I don't know who brought him on. I'm guessing it was Odiorn again. Wow, two podcasts in a row. Jeff Odiorn scores the talent. Bring it. Bring it, Jeff. Who's Sandy Sandoval?
All right, Sandy Sandoval is everything Andrew just said. He's also an amazing human being. He's a brother. It's been a little while since we talked, so some of this is going to be refreshing to me. But, whether it was the early guys at EA or, some people along the way, we'll get into Ray Lewis a little bit. But, and the stuff he's doing now, like if you needed an athlete or you needed an athlete, he's got the connections across all the top major sports, and he just does it in a really sort of human way. There's this expression, painting in the gray, where the gray area lies, and Sandy is the Michelangelo of painting in the gray, and he always came through. And so happy to have you, Sandy. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I haven't seen you in quite a while, so it's really an honor.
We were family at one point. We were like five brothers causing trouble all over the world.
Oh my
I remember
gosh.
those days.
No question. That was the best part of the whole thing was, we went in for gunfights and probably came out smoking winning.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like the man on your shirt, brother. Why you got him on your shirt? What's with our boy?
I got a good friend of mine represents him from the marketing side, so he does all his trading cards or whatever else, and he did all his memorabilia stuff. And he sent me a couple of shirts that I've got. It's either Rocky. This one happens to be Rambo. So
nice.
I get a lot of looks on this one. I like it. Yeah.
Let me see that. Hold that thing up. Lean back. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So that's got to be First Blood, right? That's they drew First Blood. That's gotta be the crossbow, the exploding crossbow. Remember when he hid in the mud wall and all you saw was his eyeballs? God,
that's right.
That was 2 or 3. I think that was was
Michael. They could not have made enough of those. They could be on Rambo 16, and I'd still be pretty happy about it. Sandy, tell us about.
They did the one at the border, man. You know what I mean? They just did one recently.
Oh, the recent one. I remember that one.
But he died He died in his rocking chair, but they never showed him dying. That was
that's right.
And people were exploding from large caliber gunfire. I remember that one. He had like an M50 on a boat or something. That's great.
Dude,
all right,
he would
Sandy.
sit on your shoulder, Sandy. He's like an inch tall. You're like 7 feet tall.
Sandy's really tall. I want to know, Sandy, if Sly gives you, the rumor is that he wears a new pair of silk underpants every day and just guns the other ones. Did you ever pick up any of those spare underpants?
No, but if you go to my Instagram and you look at my profile picture, you will see me sitting at Sly's house. I'm sitting on his motorcycle that he used in Rocky.
No.
Yeah, go to my Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah. Pop it up. You'll see it. Yeah.
Sandy, quickly.
Sandy, go ahead.
Yeah, go. Okay, Sandy, we want to know, we all know who you are. The people out there might not yet. Tell us how you got, you're basically, I mean, you're not a player agent. You're the wrangler. You're the guy that can get anybody, right? But and you've acted as a player agent in the past as well. But tell us how's a guy like you from San Jose push his way into that business?
It was just sheer luck. And I've always said it's not what you know, it's who you know, and timing's everything. And for me at that time, I was playing ball, and I ended up working for a company called Easton Sports after I got done. they brought me on board. The guy that hired me, like 2 months after he hired me, it was Easton and Mizuno were one company, and then they split. The guy that hired me went to Mizuno, and I stayed with Easton. And the sports office was actually right there in Burlingame, which is 20 minutes from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I was hired to do all the hard good, like the baseball side, softball, anything to do with a bat. That was what I was handling. But when he left, I ended up getting football and I ended up getting hockey. Now, back then, there was no social media. So my whole life, I read the sports page. I didn't read the business side. I didn't read anything. I just grabbed the sports page, and I was a big fan of all the Bay Area stuff. So 49ers, Raiders, Warriors. I knew everything about it. Well, next thing you know, I'm handling those particular teams when I'm with Easton, and especially in the Bay Area. I'm going to see the Giants. I'm going to see the 49ers. I'm going to see the Raiders. I'm going to see Oakland A's. And I'm in the locker room with the players. Now, it was easier for me to handle the baseball side of things because that's kind of my background. But when it came to football, I knew football. I mean, I knew who Joe Montana and Jerry Rice because I was a big football fan. But did I ever meet those guys face to face? No. So next thing you know, I'm in the locker room with these guys. And, the key, just like anything else, is you try not to be starstruck, So I've, been blessed the fact that, I played, so I kind of know. And, I've dealt with these guys before. And it just kind of became, a habit with every sport that I did. Now, I didn't know the Sharks that just came into town. I didn't know anything about hockey. I'm a guy who grew up on the east side of San Jose. So, I mean, it was really, it's completely different for me. Yeah. And I remember like going in, trying to do these deals with some of these hockey players, and I'd go in the locker room, and I mean, I would take down notes on everything you said. You probably thought by the time I got done, I came out with the encyclopedia about that thick. Right. But what they were really doing, they already knew I didn't know anything. They were just telling me a bunch of BS stuff. Until finally, one of the players, Doug Wilson, who ended up becoming the GM for the Sharks, kind of said, "Hey, listen, we all know he doesn't know hockey. Let's teach him hockey. He's a good guy, blah, blah, blah." And they took me under the wing. They really taught me what hockey was all about and all the other stuff, because my main guy in hockey that I had to kind of take care of was Wayne Gretzky. So he was the other one. So when Wayne would, I would just call him G. That's what I never called him Wayne. I just say, "What's up, G?" So I would go with him, especially that was the time he was breaking the record. Yeah. So it was 88-02. So he tied the record in San Jose and he broke it in LA.
That's right.
But they lost. They played Toronto and they lost. I'm in the locker room after the game when they lost. And I'm sitting way in the back. So at the end of the game, everybody's taking photos with Wayne and, the whole 9 yards. And he stopped everybody. Says, "That's it. I'm not taking any more photos. I'm taking 2 photos." I happened to bring the equipment manager from the Raiders that were playing in LA in El Segundo. So I brought him as my guest. And we're in the locker room. I had that much access. I'm sitting in the locker room in the very back, standing on the seats that these guys would get dressed on. He goes, "I'm done taking photos. I'm taking 2 more photos, and that's it." He goes, "Sandy, Romo, get on over here." So we dash over there. We take our photo. He gives me a pair of the wristbands that he wore. He went through a bunch of sticks. He signed a stick for me that I still have, and I kept that. And he's been awesome. So it was a great. That was my introduction to kind of the sports world from the inside versus the outside. And from there, it carried over to EA, which is a whole nother animal in itself.
So Sandy, go ahead, Jeff. Go on.
You didn't walk in and start talking to Gretzky right away. I remember back in the day, even at EA, you were talking about how you worked the towel guy, you worked the therapist, you worked everybody in the locker room. It was like an inside job. It wasn't straight to the top. You didn't just deal with the players. Can you tell us a little bit about that hustle?
Well, that's the main hustle, okay? Because you got to get through a door. And to get through a door, you got to get through somebody. And everybody, and I've been very smart about treating everybody equal, and because that's the way I wanted to be treated. I didn't care if you were Joe Montana or you were Jeff Ordian or anybody else. I'm going to treat you the same. And I tell this story to everybody. there's a guy that worked for the 49ers, and his name was Jim Mercurio. And when I was going in, Jim was the guy that was sitting in the chair behind the goalpost, rolling up the net when they would kick the field goals. Okay. And I'd have games, and I'd go see the visiting teams that would come in, and I'd hook them up with a few games. And whatever I had left, I'd see Jim, like, hey, Jim, got a few Madden left. Here you go, man. Give them to him all the time. Well, Jim ended up he ran the whole operations for the 49ers.
That's
now,
crazy.
I don't know if you remember this when the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Yes,
And
I do. I remember it well.
You remember Kevin Hart trying to get up on the stage at the end?
I remember it well. Drunk
Jim
Kevin
Mercurio,
Hart.
Jim was the guy who stopped him from going up there. That's Jim Mercurio. That's his kind of claim to fame. But the point is, you never know who is going to become somebody, right?
Yeah.
And for me, anytime I went to the 49ers game, if I brought somebody and I called Jim up, I'd say, Jim, I need a parking pass and I need 2 pregame or field passes. Never a hesitation, because they always said, Sandy, you always took care of me, man. So you just never know who's going to become who, and you got to just kind of treat everybody the way you want to be treated. So that's a lesson I learned, a lesson I live by, and it's always benefited me.
Cornerstone of your hustle.
Awesome. It's awesome.
Sandy, when I worked with you, go ahead, Glenn.
No, I mean, look, I was able to see it firsthand. You know, Sandy and I were teammates at EA, and we kind of had that, you know, hustle. We both had a hustle in our own unique way, you know, amongst the tech folks, or, you know, that weren't necessarily like that. So yeah, seeing Sandy operate, I gotta say, as his teammate at EA for like probably over a decade, yeah, everything he says is so spot on, and you know, it's awesome to see firsthand.
And I got to tell you, and I'll never forget this. Like, I remember when I first started with EA, I came in on the production side. I didn't come in on the marketing side.
Yeah.
And at that time, and Glenn, you could probably speak about this a little bit too now if I'm wrong here, but it kind of felt like the time the production side was kind of driving the marketing, because, you know, they were telling everybody kind of what to do. So I kind of just sat back, and I remember the first time kind of walking through the marketing department. I saw Glenn, I saw Whitey, I saw Frank Chabot and Chip Lang, and I saw all these guys, and we'd walk around like, what does this guy do? What does this guy do? I'm like, oh shit, I could do that. Because when I was at Easton, I had to do everything. But the reality, you know, after a year or two, I realized that these motherfuckers are way smarter than me. There's no way I could do what they do.
I love that it took you a year or two.
Yeah.
I love that it took 2 fucking years.
There is no way I could do what they do. These guys are so freaking smart. Yeah. They know what they're doing. And I just have to kind of sit back and eat some humble pie, because there's just no way on this earth that I could do what I do. So I'd have to kind of figure out, I better listen to what these guys say and get on their side. Because, you know, there was a little bit of a animosity between me and the marketing at that time, because I had a big old fat budget on the production side. So when Madden would launch, I would already be at the training camp showing them Madden, you know, and they'd see it. And then these guys had this whole other plan about it. And I'd come back, I'm like, I already was there. I already did all that stuff. So we were kind of battling. But
so who's really smarter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
hey, Sandy,
you know, yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you something, because I told you earlier, I love your gig. I think a lot of people dream of a gig like this, right? Like, a lot of guys out there that love their sports are like, shit, would I love to be a player agent or like a player liaison? You know, we talk about like cultural shifts on this podcast, and in your area, tell people how it's changed. Like, back when I was working with you back in the day, athletes weren't like giant mega brands. They were still, especially hockey players, right? They were still normal dudes. And the way that I loved how you had the going in position of, I'm an athlete too. And they all respected you so much. How has that changed? Like, it's got to be a lot tougher now that everyone's a billionaire brand, right?
No question. It's, you know, unfortunately, I think these young athletes now have so much entitlement and you know, social media, and it's quick access, right, and it's want this and I want that,
right?
You know, and I see it from, and Glenn probably sees it too from the agent side. when you would go in and try to recruit a player, you would tell them all your best qualities and why you should go with me, and you'd do your whole spiel, and the family would either get a very good impression by the time you would leave and say, you know what, I feel good about him.
Right.
Well, nowadays you walk in, and as soon as you walk in the door, it's like, well, how much are you going to pay me?
Right,
These
exactly.
Right.
NIL deals. How much are you going to pay? Yeah, that's
Right.
it. If you don't pay, well, give me the next guy. So there's no real, like, it's hard to build that relationship and that trust because it's all about write me the check. And you mentioned hockey players, and hockey players to me were the easiest guys to work with. They were always grateful for it. Whatever you did. Didn't matter what. It wasn't about money. It was about service and talking about family and everything else, or go play some golf, or this, that, and the other. I don't care what I gave them, man. I give them one game, or if I was at Easton, at that time it was either some golf clubs or some fishing rods or whatever, and they were so thankful for that. That you could just continue to work with them. Right. Nowadays, it's just I'm away from it now because I can't deal with that. Right. Those types of the young mind, the mindset of these young athletes are in a whole different space.
The parents
the parents more than the kids.
Yeah, the parents more than the kids for sure.
Yeah, I 100%.
There was Bill Belichick said yesterday, or it was on sports. He was like, you know what? These guys come in, these new guys, and he always tells them, you know what? Football was great before you got here.
Yes, and it's going to be great after you're done.
It's going to be great after you're done. You're not making it great. I was like, damn, that's super smart.
Here's a good example, and I don't, and you might remember this. Remember when I took you over? I think we were at a USC fight, and I took you, Andrew, and I introduced you to John Jones.
John Jones, holy!
And I take him to John Jones. I said, "Hey, John," I said, "Do you know this guy?" He said, "No." I said, "Have you ever met him?" "Nah." I said, "Have you ever seen him before?" "Nah." "Have you ever heard of him?" "Nah."
Give him
one. "Oh, yes." Dude. I go, "Yeah, you have." He goes, "No, I haven't." I go, "Yeah, you have."
Sports. It's in the game.
As soon as he dropped that, he practically picked him up. He took him all over the place.
Hugged me. Yeah.
Yes, and took him all over the place. Now, I would think if I did that now, I think most of these kids are like, who the fuck's this guy?
Who cares?
Who cares? Who gives a shit,
I remember John saying, I didn't know at the time that his brother played in the NFL.
Yeah,
He was like, my brother and me played Madden 8 hours a day for our entire high school career. And I was like, oh, my God, this is great. Yeah, no, Sandy, you threaded that needle. Those guys, they loved you. They respected you. You also took no bullshit. I will tell a quick Sandy story where I got about 100 Sandy stories, but I can remember.
We don't have all that time.
I'm not going to name any athletes, but I can remember being no, I'm not. I'm not naming any athletes with this one because it ends. It was such a great golf tournament, athlete, having so much fun. Things get we're all a little bit, I'm going to say we'd had a few adult soda pops, maybe a couple of hundred cigars. And and this athlete, unnamed, gets a little chippy with Sandy, right? Just like giving him the shit, right? And Sandy's giving it back because he's not the kind of guy that's just going to lay down for an athlete, right? I'm just happy to be here, guys. I'm like with a bunch of like NFL players. I'm so happy to be here. Turn around and Sandy's in the parking lot wrestling the 5-star $30 million a year. And I'm like, is this how Sandy rolls? Does he just beat the shit out of the people that he's hiring for EA Sports?
Hey, that isn't the first time. That wasn't the first time. I'll tell you this quick story. We were at a Madden Bowl. I think it was, I don't know if it was Miami or somewhere, but as you guys remember, I used to, in Glenn, remember I used to have my own little area, VIP for so-and-so.
Absolutely. Sandy section.
That's right. So I had I had everything at the table, every alcohol you could think of. And I was with Terrell Owens, Ray Lewis, Donovan McNabb, and we're in the back. And
that's a light crowd right there. That's a very light crowd.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I turn around and I see this guy kind of jump over the velvet ropes, and he's snagging bottles. Okay. I run over there. I'm like, hey, dude, what are you doing? He goes, oh, man, I work for EA. Yeah. He goes, I work for EA. I want these bottles. I could drink too. I'm like, hey, dude, you see whose name's on this table? I go, this is private. So he's giving me a bunch of crap. We're going back and forth. Next thing you know, bam, I smack him right in the face. Boom, he goes down right by the table. I'm punching him, and Donovan McNabb's freaking pulling me off. Terrell's pulling me off.
Oh my God.
My shirt is half torn. It gets broken up. So the next day, I'm actually driving now to Orlando with Reggie Bush, and I get a call from HR. I didn't even know at that time that he was an employee at EA. So I'm thinking, I'm fired. I'm done. This is it.
No.
I'm out. But it all worked itself out. But if you guys, I don't even know if we have time to talk about the Dick.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Get into it.
The Dick?
The Dick.
Oh my God!
Are we officially that kind of show now?
Yeah,
we are.
Michael, are you rubbing your head because I said Dick?
No, I said it first. It's Andrew. It's pronounced D-I-K. It's D-I-K.
It's D-I-K.
It's not.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Come on, Andrew. Come on, Andrew.
It's
Andrew, you went right there.
Animal.
That is my all-time favorite of all the things I ever did at EA. Trust me, I did a lot.
Yeah.
Probably from a group side, the best experience I had. And when we started it, it was like it almost seemed impossible. By the time it ended, it was like, man, I'm gonna miss you guys. And it was so much fun. We spent at least 7 straight days, like 24 hours with each other. It was phenomenal.
And you
I still have video of that, by
Sandy?
the way. I showed Jeff video of that, like when he was here, like maybe 4 months ago.
A couple months ago.
I got video of it.
It's pretty cool. I remember going through the meetings, and I at one point I said, look, guys, this is impossible. There's only one way we could do this. Look, I said, we got to get a private plane.
Private
and
jet.
You guys, like, you guys, like, you're crazy. I said, oh, well, how else can you do it 7 straight? I mean, if a plane is delayed and your equipment doesn't come in and we got players showing up, everything's going to get screwed up. We need a private plane.
Yeah, guys, talk about what the project was. Like, this was shooting tons of guys.
I'll let J.O. do that, and I'll jump in. But that was your guys' idea.
It was 10 different teams over the course of a week, back and forth across the country. The longest hop would have been like Miami to the Bay Area. The shortest hop would have been San Jose to Napa.
L.A.
It was a 15-minute flight. But we had to capture like 20 athletes in 10 cities over the course of a week. And so we finagled, hustled into a private jet, and you were on every leg, right, Sandy? You were there from the first takeoff to the actual last landing, right?
100%, and I established what seat was mine the whole time.
Yes,
Not only did I have that seat the whole time, I was in charge of the card game. Every time we got on the plane, we had a card game going on.
The big dog.
You were running the card game, but you weren't
running the card game. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
my
true.
God.
That's true.
All right. Let me hit you with my best, Sandy Sandoval.
Who else was on that,
go
Sandy?
ahead.
Who else was it was
Junior Seau, it was Ray Lewis, it was Zach Thomas, it was Jason Taylor, Tony Gonzalez,
Terrell
little running back from LA at the time, or not LA, St. Louis at the time.
Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams.
Do
we have Marshall? We didn't have Marshall.
Yeah,
Wasn't Marshall?
Marshall Falk,
yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Marshall
Owens.
But
Aztecs.
Jerry Rice.
But here's the funny thing was, when I was giving you guys the list of talents, I thought for sure that Junior Seau was going to be the best one out of the whole thing, because I hung out with him a lot.
You knew him, funny. Attitude.
He was funny.
Yeah,
he was the worst out of everybody. he almost didn't make the cut. Didn't make the
Jerry
cut.
Rice was the worst.
He was close. But the guy, as we all know, who became the gem, and it was funny because I met Ray Lewis at Junior Seau's foundation dinner. And he introduced me to him, and we talked. And at that time he was going through that little incident that he had in Atlanta, and
Yep.
I remember I had to come back to the company and sell him into
Yep.
everybody,
Yep.
and that
All his.
included Larry Probst. And
Yep.
Yeah.
I said to Larry, Larry, listen, this is what I'll do. If I'm wrong on this guy, you could fire me. You could fire me.
Nice.
You could fire me.
Ooh.
But I am that sure this guy will be okay. You could fire me. He says, okay, you do that.
And
Now,
all the other brands were dropping him. EA was the
absolutely,
first major brand to keep a turn for him.
we got him back on track.
Yep.
We are the
Yeah.
ones that got, and then he re-signed with Reebok and everybody else. But
Yep.
it was, thank goodness for your, intuition and what you do, Jo, and the rest of you guys, is that we never shut the camera off on Ray.
No.
And it was all, and the best stuff from Ray came in between the takes.
Right.
And
Yep.
it's where we
Right.
got,
Always.
it's where we got defense wins championships.
Yep.
And all the
Defensive
other stuff,
championship.
put all that together. Oh
You
man, we
feeling
got
me?
the best. Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
all of that stuff. You kept the cameras rolling on him, and
Yeah.
he was awesome. He was great to work with. I had a lot of fun. But the best part was the hanging out with you guys, the dinners, the hustling, and that. I mean, you want to talk about a hustle? That was
That was a
probably
hustle.
the ultimate hustle of hustles. I don't think a lot of companies or anybody else could ever repeat what we were able to do in that short period of time.
And what do you transition to? Because I know you've been a busy boy since EA, and it's been a while for all of us. I mean,
Yeah. So when I left EA, I started my own company.
Yeah.
I had offers from Microsoft and other people and Monster Headset, this, that, and the other. And I had this one other company. It was a startup that Ronnie Lott introduced me to. This guy. It was called If Only, where we were building exclusive experiences for high net worth individual, and American Express was a big part of it. So, I didn't know whether I wanted to go work for somebody again or do what I end up, and, thank God, I end up working it out a deal where I got a consulting job with all of them. And
Nice.
Microsoft was the biggest one out of all the three that I had. I actually had like four of them, but I probably made more money doing that than I ever did at EA. And EA paid me well. They took very good care of me.
Yeah.
But, as things went on and then COVID hit, the only one I got left with at that time was Microsoft. And I was doing the Xbox and the Surface on the sidelines with those guys. So I ended up spending a good 9 years, almost 10 years with them, specifically working on that. And in between all of that, I had little players I was doing deals for, whether it was Larry Fitzgerald or, a couple other guys, Todd Gurley and them. But then I just hit a point where it just all stopped. And, and I've told this to other people, there's a difference between retiring on your terms or falling into retirement. Okay. That's two different things.
Yeah.
I fell into it, and not a bad spot. It's not a bad thing, because here I am in San Diego. I belong to a great golf club out here. So I spent a lot of time golfing, improving my game, hanging out with my dog, working out. But after a while, it just like gets monotonous, gets a little boring. So I had a guy that was constantly pursuing me at the gym. And he owned a helmet company, a football helmet company called Light Helmets, LIGHT. Yeah. So, at the time, I was looking into them, and the helmet wasn't quite ready. I don't even know if it was rated high, during that process of, getting it certified. So I kind of stayed away from it. And until this year, he came to me with an offer I couldn't refuse. The helmet is out there. It's approved. It's a very good helmet.
Yeah.
So I actually said, all right, I'm coming out of retirement, and I'm going to take this job. And I'm a VP of athlete relations, but I help the sales team, and I like what we're doing. I came in kind of late. I came in about maybe a week prior to the last week of training camp, but I was able to sign some guys, and I got them in locker rooms they weren't able to get to. I had a great relationship with equipment managers and coaches, signed a few guys. We got some great helmets coming out, a new one that's going to be out probably another month for college guys called the Apache that I'm pretty excited about. that we're going to be introducing and building some campaigns around. So it's fun. I like it. I don't know how long I'm going to stay with it, but right now it's kind of serving its purpose, keeping me busy. Not much golf. So my life kind of consists of now is taking care of coach, working out, staying healthy, eating right, and working at light helmets. And,
Oh,
That's
that's really
awesome.
about it, man. Yeah.
Dude,
Life
who
is
did you
good
who
for
did you
Sandy.
sign for light helmets,
Well, the first guy I signed was
or that
Cam
you can
Jordan.
talk about? Yeah,
Yeah, Cam Jordan with the Saints. We got
nice,
Yeah.
Tyron
Nice.
Tyron Taylor
Yeah.
working with Alvin
nice.
Kamara right now. We got a few other guys that we got. We're in the process of trying to work with Tua. He's had a lot of
Yeah.
concussions
Right.
Right.
with the competitor's helmet. So I'm right now trying to get down that path with him too. Hopefully that it's something he'll try out. But like I said, next year getting in a lot sooner is going to be more beneficial to myself as well as the company. So.
That's
Sandy,
awesome.
is the whole deal, especially with light, is it all protection now with the helmet? Like, is that the is
100%.
that's
Yeah,
100% the selling feature, isn't it? Why is
absolutely.
and what is light doing that makes them a superior helmet?
Well, it's a lighter helmet. It's just like if
Right.
you wore, like if you dropped a 10-pound bowling ball
Yeah.
compared to a 5-pound bowling ball
Right.
on the ground, who's going to have more impact, right?
Right.
So
Right.
everybody seems to see that the helmet's got to be heavy, and that's why they're wearing
Right.
those Guardian caps at
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
Ours is,
Yeah.
is probably about 3.5 pounds lighter than the regular helmet.
That's
But
crazy.
it still has the same protection because it's when you go get it tested by the NFL, there's a grading system. It's a
Yeah.
color
Mhm.
system. So red is bad, green is good. So we've got
Right.
two of our helmets rated. We're in the top 3 helmets.
That's
This
Good.
new
amazing.
one that we got that we just got sent out for testing for college was rated #1. So that's going to be
Nice.
coming out pretty soon. So it's all about it's just about protection, and obviously you got to you got to do your sales job just like anybody else. But
Yeah.
And are
for
you?
us,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go
Well,
ahead.
for us, it's the relationship. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah.
I'm using the same stuff that always worked for me.
Mhm.
There's no reason to try to lie about something. I'm not going to push something that I don't believe in. And the first thing I tell them when I go in there, I said, "Look, guys, I don't care what it is. The #1 thing for me, with you or anybody else, is
How's
safety.
it doing?
If
Safety.
it's not my helmet and it's somebody else, I'm not going to try to talk you out of that. Okay, that's because if you don't feel comfortable in it and you don't
Right.
think it feels, then go with what you feel. But I'm
Nice.
just
Yeah.
going to tell you this: take it, just hear what I got to say, try it out. Give me some feedback. If it doesn't work, we could talk later on, make some changes. So, that's kind of been my approach to it.
So you got the
ABH.
top down with the like the guys that you mentioned, but like with the NIL and college and proliferation of like, how is it working with those guys? Like, there's got to be a big sort of groundswell, or like high school and college, or no?
Yeah, look, when you're selling helmets, obviously you want to start with the youth because it's a carryover, right? You go from Pop Warner to high school to college, and if you get to the
Mhm.
pros, you're going to stay in the same thing all the way through. So trying to infiltrate that area and work with some of these kids, you're coming up with programs. Like we have the guy Cam Rising from Utah, the quarterback,
Mm.
and
Right.
we have this great video that we show where Cam gets knocked out using a competitor's helmet, where he
Yeah.
does this thing like Tua does, right?
Right.
Right.
And then we
Yeah.
show this other hat he changed into our helmet, and he gets even. If you saw the hit, you just like, oh, this guy's head's going to roll off. He
Right.
gets hit in our helmet and he
Gotcha.
bounces right back up and he gets
Yep.
back right in there. So, it's that type of stuff that you try to leverage to your advantage. And when the proof is in the pudding, it's right there and you can see it visually. It's a big advantage for us. So,
That's awesome.
it's great. Yeah.
Hey
But just
boys.
like anything else, we pay these guys and, we give them
Sure.
little deals
Of
and,
course.
that's
Yeah.
what they're looking for. So we try to, whether
That's
it's
what
stock or money, we give them a little
you're a
X,
master
Y,
of
Z.
that, Sandy. That's your
Hey, try to,
that's your, as the English say, that's your bailiwick. Oh
Yes.
fuck! I had to drop an English expression in there. All right,
Yeah.
listen, I gotta wrap our. I'm getting a little time reminder over here. I feel like we could have a few episodes with Sandy Sandoval.
We
What do you
will.
guys
We'll
think?
have part 2 and
Uh,
part 3 and
um,
part 4.
hey, listen, you guys are my guys. Anytime you need me, you can count on me. I just really, I can't thank you enough. It's really
Oh,
a
we
treat
can't
to be with you guys,
thank
man.
you enough. You know what? I think this is probably the smoothest podcast we've ever done.
Yeah, it was smooth.
And it's
I'll tell you what.
because
I'll tell you what. You guys come to my house.
yeah,
We can hang out, and you can do your podcast at my house.
I
got
love that.
a couple of. We could play some golf, and we could go. I got a great steak place, Steak 48, that you will
Yeah.
love. Yeah,
Let's
We'll
do
do it.
that.
We'll do it from the
Invite.
steak place.
The Pure Hustle
Yeah.
podcast on a road trip. Can we get a Winnebago?
Yeah.
I got it.
and,
I just
the
did
Dick
it. I
Dick,
just
the
did
Dick
it.
Dick 2.
Dick
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 too.
too. Yeah, but we've
Let's
gone
go.
from private jets to Winnies. It's sad. It's
Yeah.
just sad.
I'm in a
Hey,
Winnie
Sandy.
now.
Thanks for coming out, Sandy. Listen, I want to say on behalf of all of us, thanks so much. And, you know, you're a guy in keeping with this show. You're a guy that hustled his whole life, that created his own job. When they say pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, that's Sandy Sandoval. You made your way, and I congratulate you on that. And you're the man you are today because of that. And people watching, it might be a more complicated workspace now for these kids, but if they got your hustle, they got nothing to worry about.
They got a shot.
They got
Well,
a shot.
you know what? I'm a firm believer of.
Wow, the crowd goes wild. The crowd goes wild.
That's awesome.
Wild
Sandy.
sound.
Sandy,
After
finish
that.
up.
That's what I
Listen,
had to.
I was just going to say a lot of it, has to do with I've always been lucky to surround myself with smarter people, and that's you guys, right? I've learned a lot from you guys, and you guys helped me in my career moving forward, and I'm thankful for that. And you guys will always remain my friends till the day I die. And I love you guys.
Sandy, that's
Thanks for
great,
having
man.
me today. It was real,
All right,
a lot
boys.
of fun, man.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Love
Good
you,
seeing
Sandy.
you,
for taking
fellas.
time
All right,
to do
man.
this. That was
Talk
great.
to
Peace.
you.
Peace
Cheers.
and love,
Thanks, man.
boys.
All
All
right.
right,
See you,
man.
brother.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.
Pure hustle. Pure hustle. The chase is